What are you doing?
Just waiting for you. Get my pump in. 2-pounder.
Yep.
I'm working my way up.
That's it.
Hey guys, I'm Dustin.
I'm Burton.
And we shared a while back our surrogacy story. And a lot of you reached out with tons of questions.
That's on our personal journey, but with all the emails we've been getting from you guys, we really wanted to share some resources that we found may be helpful for you guys, even at a global scale.
Yeah. And because of that, we are partnered up on this video today with the Pacific Fertility Center of Los Angeles and Hatch, which is the egg donation and the surrogacy side of the agency.
And they've been around for 30 years or more, and they're really seen as industry leaders in this field.
That's right. We really felt that this would help on a global level. A lot of our followers live all over the world and live in countries that don't even practice surrogacy. That's not a standard in their countries. Pacific Fertility Center of Los Angeles have a staff that speak 13 languages, and they've actually helped people around the world in 75 countries building their families, and they become clients of this group.
That's awesome. And what's more, they have access to IVF and egg donors, surrogates, and even egg freezing, and much more. And they accept a diversity of orientation, family units, and even incomes.
So to catch you up to speed, for the ones who don't know our story, Burton and I are married, and we always knew that we wanted a family. And in doing the research of how we should obtain a family, we looked into fostering, adoption, surrogacy, and we chose the surrogacy path. And now Burton and I have twins through the magical powers of IVF. We used a fertility clinic here in North Carolina, and because it isn't an agency, it's just a fertility clinic, they were amazing, but there was a lot of things that we had to do independently.
The clinic we used did extensive background checks. They did even psych evaluations. They even provided us with health history of the egg donors. But when it came down to doing legal contracts and even finding the right surrogate for our journey, we had to do a lot of the vetting and due diligence on our own.
I think that was one of the most nerve-wracking parts of this process.
Yep.
We would call people that had said that they would want to be a gestational carrier, but we would set up interviews with these people and really didn't even know what to ask in the interview process because we've never done this before.
And because doing a lot of this work independently can be a little overwhelming, we really wanted to point you to an agency that could really help you through the process. And Pacific Fertility Centers of Los Angeles and Hatch will do much more. For one, their egg donor and surrogates are really top notch. They only select egg donors and surrogates from the top 5% in the nation.
For instance, where we were using egg donors and a gestational carrier on a local level, they have a larger pool of people to choose from. So in our journey, this whole thing has been such an awakening of the amazement and the awe that I have of science.
Right.
The possibilities are just incredible. So the way that this worked, we had to have many people involved to have children. We needed an egg donor, which we found through basically a listserv of people that were willing to donate their eggs.
It's kind of like online dating. You have a profile, you have a picture, you have some health history, and you're able to see a lot of information about that person.
Yeah, and once we both decided that we found the egg donor that was right for us, that really was the easy part, right?
Yeah, that took a day.
Yeah. Then we moved into finding our gestational carrier. Now that took a lot longer. I think a lot of it was because we had to do the vetting ourselves, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Other than Googling what questions to ask a potential surrogate, we really didn't have any guidance in here. So our interactions with some of our first surrogates were really awkward.
Totally
Basically,
awkward.
sitting in a room with
staring at each other.
Because
a lot of them had never done this before either.
Yeah.
So here we are trying to interview them and them interview us to see if we're a right fit.
Yeah.
It was very, very uncomfortable at times. Yeah. And then after the fact, when we found the people that we wanted, some of them, were turned off because we were a gay couple and didn't even want to participate in an interview with us. And then even afterwards, when we found the potential gestational carriers, we then had to have them have psych evaluations and, get all these other tests done. And the one that we picked that we thought for sure was going to be the one, she didn't pass the psych evaluation. So an agency would have already done all that for you and would have saved you a little more heartache than what we went through during that process.
Absolutely. After we selected both the gestational carrier and the egg donor, we had to determine whether we wanted a fresh transfer or frozen transfer. We actually decided to go with the fresh transfer, which means we needed to synchronize a lot of people, both the egg donor, the gestational carrier, and then us who were the sperm donors. This means in part is that the gestational carrier actually has to be ready and prepared to accept the eggs once we actually do the fresh transfer. In addition to that, the same day that the eggs are retrieved from the egg donor, the sperm donors, which were us, we went in to donate sperm, and so they could do a fresh insemination that same day. After the eggs reach a certain maturity level and they can determine which eggs are the most viable, they took one egg that Dustin fertilized and one egg that I fertilized, and we did an embryo transfer. And that's what took about 3 days. That was about 3 days later.
After that was the waiting period to see if we were pregnant, and we were pregnant with twins. Many people want to know our advice when going through this process or thinking about going through this process.
That's right.
For one, you have to realize that this is not a perfect scenario guarantee. You know, we have people reach out and say, I want twins, I want a boy and a girl just like yours. And, you know, that's not how this works all the time. Lots of people go through this process and they're not successful, or they transfer 2 eggs and they only get 1 child. Some transfer 1 and they get, triplets. You know, you just don't really know. Right. It's not so black and white. There is, lots of gray areas in this, and no surrogacy story is similar.
The surrogacy process can be a long emotional journey for all parties that are involved, and there's a lot of people who are involved in this process. And just like any other major decision in life, you really have to do your due diligence. So every state and every country in the world is different when it comes to surrogacy laws. So having an agency and organization really help you through this process is invaluable.
Totally.
In addition to that, hopeful parents who are even considering surrogacy have to be also aware of the financial investment that's required through this process.
And the emotional investment in this
Absolutely.
process. Yeah. Many people have asked us, should they do this process on their own, even if they're not partnered? And, I say absolutely. If you feel like you can do that on your own, then do so. But I have to say, it is always good to have a community to help you. Having babies and having children is a full-time job. So the more people you have in your circle to help emotionally and physically, the better for you and your children. And that's why we wanted to create this video, because if you're considering doing surrogacy or, trying to figure out if you want to be a parent, Pacific Fertility Center of Los Angeles is a really great resource to talk to. They've been in this game for so long that they can really help lay everything out for you so that you know the pros, you know the cons, you know everything.
So for us, there were a lot of things that we really wish we knew before we even ventured down the surrogacy journey or path. For one, it can take a long time to find that right gestational carrier or surrogate.
Or even egg donor. Yeah. We got there pretty fast, but that doesn't always happen for everybody. And then other couples too that have not had the best success with one fertility clinic, and then they've had to hop to another fertility clinic. And so you just have to be emotionally prepared that it's not going to be perfect that first go round. Because of that, it can also be expensive. Every time you do IVF, it costs money. So making sure that you find a credible clinic to work with is everything.
Also, something we wish we knew going into this journey is that it's not unusual to have a failed embryo transfer the first time around, or even a miscarriage.
I also think that speaking to a therapist or someone that can really help you walk through your thoughts and reasoning of wanting to become a parent would be really, really helpful before you even start this process.
In addition to that, going through this process, both partners are going to be affected emotionally. So it's really important to talk to that therapist, psychologist, and really be there for each other through this process. And from my side, I handle a lot of the day-to-day financials. And so really having your finances in order, in line going into this process is really valuable.
This process can be expensive. There is financing out there. I think certain agencies will help you with that. Certain companies will help you with that. Like Burton's company actually helped pay for some of our expenses.
Absolutely. A lot of companies actually provide that benefit to their employees. So speak with one of your HR partners if you have any questions about that.
Something else that was really important to us, being a gay couple and living in the South, we were a little skeptical how we would be received by the fertility clinic or, a lawyer to help us through this process. So that's really, really important that you find someone that is an ally for you if you're an LGBTQ+. That's why I think it's really helpful when you have an agency that's so vocal that wants to help LGBTQ+ members, grow their families, because that they are set to help you with the lawyers, the right surrogates or gestational carriers, even the egg donors that are totally equipped and okay with helping families like ours.
Right.
We really hope that this video was helpful for you guys, mainly because our first surrogacy video was really about our journey and our story, but I feel like that left a lot of you wondering how you can do it. And especially even on a global level, even if you didn't live where we live in North Carolina with the local clinic that we used. So we really feel that the Pacific Fertility Center of Los Angeles is a really great resource for all of you guys, because truly they do it worldwide.
So we will put more information and also links in the description. And of course, if you guys have questions, please feel free to leave some comments and we will answer those as they come in.
Yeah. Thanks again, guys. We hope this was helpful and we will see you soon.
Yeah, thanks. Bye.